right, folks. I'm got a really good friend here on the show today. His name is Dane Riley, folks. So let's welcome him to the show. All right, so Dane, how you doing today, brother?
I'm doing fantastic, brother.
Hey, it's good to talk to you, man. I understand that you've got a big move going on. You're based in Washington, D.C., correct?
Yeah, well, the D.C. suburbs. I was born in Washington, D.C., but I live in the D.C. suburbs of Maryland.
Okay. So, just want to let the fans and the people out here, man, know more about you and things like that. So, give us a lowdown of your background influences.
Well, my earlier background influences mainly come from my family. I come from a rich history of musical artists and musicians and singers in my family. And the Ruffin family from D.C. Originally, the Ruffin family is from somewhere like Wilson, North Carolina, and all over down south. But my Ruffin family is from North Carolina on up to D.C. And the Ruffin family, my grandmother's parents were Ruffins, and through the Ruffins, she had my grandmother had 12 siblings, and a couple of those siblings had most of them had musicians and artists and singers and barbers and all kind of stuff. But my influences come from my grandmother and my mother and my two aunts, because my grandmother molded my mother and my two aunts as singers as well. They were called the Bruton Sisters. They were well-known gospel singers in the D.C. area back even all the way back to the 40s, 50s, 60s, all the way up.
Oh, wow.
And my grandmother's sister son is Billy Stewart. And everybody knows Billy Stewart. If you're from the old school, you know Billy Stewart from the 60s, who had the hits I Do Love You, Sitting in the Park, Summertime. That's my cousin, Billy Stewart. Actually, my mother's first cousin, my second cousin.
And I have to say real quick, my mom had his single, Summertime, and some other hits. And that's when I became acquainted with his music, and as time went on, of course, his notability in the music business.
Yeah, and then my other, I have another cousin named Grace Ruffin. Grace Ruffin was Billy's first cousin as well. Was my grandmother's brother's daughter. Grace Ruffin sung with I don't know if you know, it's called the Fabulous Jewels. The Jewels was also a 60s group.
I've heard that. Yes, I've heard that.
And they had a hit called Opportunity back in the 60s.
Oh, okay.
And also they performed with James Brown for 2 years.
Oh, wow.
They performed with James Brown for 2 years. So, they were a well-known group here locally in D.C., but they were also well-known as well because they had a couple of hits back in the day as well. And then, I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, your background is very rich, brother. And as we move on with this interview, people are going to get to learn how rich it is, even for up until this time, in the present time. But let me ask you a quick question. What musical style and what's your philosophy as it relates to, your message in the music and things like that?
My musical style, I've taken from, I've just been, I grew up in music, and I really don't have a style. I just try to take from everybody that I've learned from and listened to, coming from all genres. I grew up, I was playing in a rock band, when I was a teenager, and, my musical style, I always like to just say that my musical style is like kind of old school. I'm really not a genre person. I just really like to listen to everything, and I like to play everything. Even when I was younger, I wasn't really into genres. That really didn't resonate with me. I just like music as a whole, and that's how I try to base my music around, is just being everything that I could be, or just do everything I can do, or listen to everything I can listen to, and take from those things and make it my own sound, you know.
Yeah. And with your rich heritage and your background and influences, it lends to something fresh, something new, and again, no place to put a finger on whatever it is that you're composing, creating, and recording, and so forth. So your creative process, what's your creative process in writing songs and so forth, and melodies, lyrics, and concept?
Well, man, let me tell you something, man. I've had music playing, pounding and melodies in my brain since I was a kid. And I always remember in school, my classmates used to always tell me, say, man, you always quiet. You never really say too much. But I was kind of I played sports and everything, and I knew mostly all most of my classmates or whatever. But I was always kind of reserved. Always kind of quiet. And then as I got older, I realized that all of that had to do with all of the stuff that was going on in my brain. You know what I'm saying? So I had a lot of music pounding in my brain and melodies and all kind of stuff. And then when I got to a certain age, I just decided to just to let it out. So my stuff has always come from the truth. I always like to write based on truth, based on things that's going around in the world, worldly events. And, I always say, I have said in a couple of interviews that I don't write about sex. I write about love. I don't write about I don't write about fighting or degrading. I write about bringing people together. Most of my music is about that, with some nice funky stuff going on with it. But I always wanted to make my stuff kind of inspirational, at the same time have a very, very good message to it,
Yeah, positivity, man. I mean, that's what it's all about. I mean, especially these days and times, man, I find myself wanting to write some music and things like that, And, when it comes to romance and things like that, I kind of, want to lend to the sexier side of stuff, like Marvin Gaye and everybody else did. But keeping it clean. But, the underlying being love and so forth, with all that, whether
that's why I wanted to be different. I just wanted to be different than most artists that I've listened to. Because, sex sells. I mean, I get it, sex sells, but I really wasn't concerned with that. I was only really concerned about the message. It's how you message it as well. You would never hear me, about taking nobody to bed or doing nothing like that. That's not my thing,
Right, I understand. Now let's talk about your career and live performances. I mean, you've got an independent label, correct?
Yes, I do.
What's the name of your label?
So the name of my label is Dane Riley Music. It's my first name spelled backwards.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Together.
I like that.
And I think I had this label started back in the 2000s, probably like 2005 or 6. When I decided to start my own label because, I did research on the music business, record labels, and things like that. And what I decided to do, I asked myself the question. I said, well, instead of trying to find a record label, I asked myself a question: what is a record label? And the answer I got was a record label is nothing but a name. So I just decided to, start my own record label, license and everything. I got a license, and everything. And I said, well, under my own record label, I could record, distribute, and market my own music.
As you see fit,
Yes, as I see fit. And, not jeopardize, jeopardize my soul in the process. So I would feel more comfortable. Right. I would feel more comfortable owning my own, publishing and masters. And, you have to put out to get back. So, you have to give, put out money to get back. So the same things that the record label would do, you would have to do yourself.
For yourself. And see, and that's the thing with independent artists these days. A lot of them, you want to sit around and maybe get the half-shambled, like record deal, record label say, okay, we'll give you $100,000, come on, do it, put it out. That kind of thing. But, again, going back to what you said earlier, selling your yourself short and not, being able to purify your soul into your music and what it is you're trying to say, what you're trying to express, and so forth. So I get it, man. But man, tell me, do you start? Do you start with music? What I really want to ask is, what challenges and rewards have you've encountered, since having an independent label and so forth?
That's a good question. I really didn't have any challenges. It's just the fact that, when you're an independent artist, you want to let people, you want the masses to hear your stuff.
Right.
And finding ways to get your music played to people out there other than, not just other than the mainstream, or trying to get the mainstream to hear your independent music. That's probably the biggest challenge of any independent artist, because, you know how the record labels work. They actually pay the radio stations to play your music. And if you don't have the money to pay a label to play your music, then you have to find different outlets to get your music heard. And you went back to about my performances, but that's one of the ways that I really got people to hear my music. I would do performances, and I would just give out CDs with the tickets or whatever. I just try to get people to hear something different.
Now, how do different audiences influence your live shows, and do you adapt your performance based on the location or so forth?
Yes, I do. I actually do. When I first started out, I always had a main set that I wanted to do. Then I realized the interaction of the crowd and the different venues, because being an independent artist locally, you get a chance to play at a lot of different functions. Like parties and cabarets, and then you could do private shows and stuff like that. So I did it all basically. I never did weddings, so I never did a wedding. But I always I did a few venues locally here, in New York, a couple of places. And I usually change my music up depending on where I'm playing, where I'm performing. Just for the energy aspect of it.
Okay. Well, we're going to take a quick break here, man, and come back, and then we're going to listen to some of your music.
What's up, y'all? This is Chadwick Niles Phillips. When I'm lounging back, I'm listening to the Beatnik Chronicles show by Walter Chancellor Jr. on WFNU 94.1 FM, St. Paul, Minnesota.
you just heard is from the music from my guest Dane Riley from out of the DC area, East Coast, y'all. And the song you just heard was In the Flow. And can you tell us a little bit about that song there, Dane?
Well, yeah, In the Flow, that is actually from the Future album. I released the Future album in 2016. It was a little different kind of vibe than what my usual, flow is. I tried to use different sounds and different futuristic sounds. That's why I call it the future. If you listen to the whole thing, you hear how different it is than my previous albums.
Okay.
And yeah, it's a little upbeat, a beat jam, that I just thought that would fit right into the Future album.
Well, I certainly liked it, and I'm sure our audience out here in Radio Land, and out here in WFNU, and anybody tuned in streaming from the station will definitely agree with me. It's a great tune, and that's from your Future album, correct?
From the Future, yes. And actually, the Future, I just did a 10th anniversary release of that album this year, and it did pretty well.
Well, good for you, man, and congratulations on that, revisiting and remastering and putting things out that you've done in the past. We want to talk, I think I want to touch on, some of your personal beliefs and motivations, your spiritual influence and so forth. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, man, this is very simple for me. My spiritual influences come from God, man. I mean, I'm inspired by God. And also, God gives you your talent. So if you're inspired to do anything and it's from God, then you should always do it in the right manner. So I don't really take people and things as my inspiration. My inspiration comes directly from above, and I try to source all of that in everything that I do in my life, and I try to source that in everything that I do in my music, my interactions with people. That's just my flow. That's how I go, and I don't derive from that.
Well, it seems you have your individual relationship with the God that you call God, because we all have a relationship with the higher being, whether you believe it or not.
And I always say the Creator, if you don't know, the Creator, and that's just where I feel that presence of where all my inspiration comes from.
Well, that's inspirational for me too, because it lends to what I believe, and nobody believes the same, and all our opinions and all our connections and
absolutely
all our beliefs are different,
Right.
So it's whatever it is and however you want to go about it, but I just totally believe you have to funnel from someplace else of higher divinity to be able to move where you are in your present,
Yes, and to have longevity on life too as well.
That's it, man. And I'd like to just, what advice would you give aspiring musicians, I guess, facing negative, influences or self-doubt in their artistic journey?
Yeah, that's rough, man. I always, I've had a chance to kind of, mentor some young artists in the past, and independent artists, because, they're trying to understand how the record business is, and they want to be heard as well. But I always, explain to them that, you can't really give up if this is what you believe that you are born to do, then you continue to do it. Don't sacrifice yourself to do it, but continue to do it in ways that you can do it in a balanced manner. You can balance your life up. Don't give all of it. Don't give it all to one thing and then lose something else.
Right.
Try to maintain some balance in your life. You know, if you have to work, if you have to get a job while you're trying to do music, that's what you have to do.
That's what you got to do.
You know,
I know that.
That
I know
job,
that game. I know that
financial music business. You know, you just can't stop. You know, you can't stop working. And you know, I've had artists who have stopped working their jobs to try to do music, then they ended up broke, not having any money, financial problems and stuff like that. So I always tell them, don't give up, but try to have some balance in it. You know.
And on that note, you know, me coming up, you know, my earlier career, you know, I've been playing professionally since I was 14, and I've always had to have like a job on the side. That's the only way you can work with your independence, to be able to invest in yourself, buy instruments, get them fixed, you know, etc., etc. You know, there's a lot ahead from just stepping into the world of music than just doing music, and like you mentioned, the business and things like that. And, you know, learning that part of the game. The publishing is what you mentioned.
Especially if you don't have a record label backing. You know, that's why independent is independent, because you know you have to do basically everything on your own or with a little bit of support. But if you don't have a record label backing you, then you're gonna have to have the finances. Like I said, you have to put out to make money. So the only way you're gonna put out is to have the money to put out. Yeah, you know, to get back from it. You know, so whatever you want to get back from it. You know.
Yep. And my concept was always like my day job was my second job.
Right.
Even though I had to be there 8 hours a day, and maybe do the music 3 to 4 hours later that evening with a rehearsing or writing some music or performing somewhere, that kind of thing. So I think what you're saying is a concept that can be followed, you know, as to be able to survive in the business, you know, because that's what it's really about, you know, monetarily and so forth. Now let's talk about your future endeavors, upcoming projects. You know, are there new projects or collaborations on the horizon that you're excited about, and what can fans look forward to from Dane Riley?
Well, I have no upcoming projects. I actually kind of retired from music a couple years back, and I'm just trying to. What I'm trying to do is just trying to kind of establish my old catalog to people. You know, I think that's my future goals, is to try to, you know, always just make sure that I keep my old catalog in rotation for people to hear. Because I did over 20-something years in the music business, recording and performing, 13 albums. So I'm pretty satisfied at what I've done musically in my career. And I just got to a point where, sometimes you just can't do it forever. But you can always go back and relive and kind of reestablish, because once you put music out, it's out there forever.
That's it.
You know what I'm saying? It never goes anywhere, and you can always go back and bring it back to the surface.
And so, in essence, I'm sorry, but in essence, what you're saying is that, you know, you're living in a living legacy of time in this present.
Absolutely.
To create your legacy thereafter, because none of us are coming out of this alive. We both know that.
Right.
Absolutely. And we have to have something that we leave behind, some footprints, of where we've been, and somebody 200 years from now could listen to something and be like, wow, listen to this, or check this out, or isn't this amazing, and so forth.
If I get a call, if I get a call and say somebody wants me to come out and jam with them, or something like that, I'll be more than happy to do it. I wouldn't hesitate about that. But as far as my goals, my musical goals, I think they're probably done as far as releasing anything and stuff like that. But I always can go back to my catalog and kind of bring back to the forefront. I have tons of videos and music and all that stuff out there, and it's always good to go back and relive the stuff that you did, because you put the work in, so you might as well enjoy it.
Yeah, and for people that haven't heard you or aren't hip to your music and so forth, this is going to be a new thing for them. So, it's something they can bite off to be inspired and more than anything, being able to listen and appreciate your artistry. So, I'm totally with you, man. I'm at that age and point in time in my life, so I get what you're saying. But I still want to create, though. Hopefully, I could, collaborate in something that, get you off that so much like being on, like being in the National Guard, where you just, you're signed up, you're in the service.
Like I said before, I always, even to this day, I still have those melodies and beats pounding in my head consistently 24/7. And I think I had to kind of do other things to kind of subdue that stuff, So I can write a song right now if I wanted to.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? It's just that I just have to suppress it, and do other things and just try to live my life too as well at the same time. As you get older, it's kind of hard to to do those things. But I still have this always open. It's never closed.
And so basically, in closing thoughts here, again, folks, I got Dane Riley with me and stuff on this show. And when I look at my notes, man, I look cross-eyed at things, so I might even say your name backwards. It's like what your middle name is.
That'll be called words.
Me too. But we're talking about legacy, and when people listen to your music in the future, what do you want them to take away from your work?
Well, I just want them to be uplifted, motivated, and inspired, man. When I got into music, I wanted to create music with substance and integrity so people can listen to, a lot of the stuff that I've done probably wouldn't get played on the radio. Some of it probably would, but, for some reason, positive, inspirational stuff, funk, it really doesn't get attention. That's my personal point of view. But I just want always write music and want people to listen to the words, and if they can get something out of it, man. If one person gets something out of if they listen to my music, I'm satisfied, man.
Yeah, that's like 1,000 people right there.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So, it's a great thing, man, that you're thinking in ways of inspiring and being able to uplift other people, because that's what it's really all about as it relates to existence here on this earth,
Yeah, absolutely, man. Because your music, listen, whatever you put out there, it stays with you forever. It's there forever. So, your music is your legacy. And, when people go back and listen to it, they want to say, wow, this cat was pretty cool,
Mm-hmm. Now, how do you engage with the audiences outside of performances? Do you have any memorable interactions that stand out? And what I really want to lead to with that question, I know it's a kind of a wide question, but where can people listen to your music, find your music, and so forth? You can give that information here.
Yeah, I'm on all the major platforms. I'm on Bandcamp.com, Spotify, Pandora, iTunes, Google. I'm on every platform you can name. I'm on there.
That's good, man.
And if they want to reach out to me personally, they can reach out to me personally through social media, DM me, and if they want something personal, I have no problem sending it to them.
Well, that's good to know, man. I mean, initially, that's how you and I connected. We became friends on Facebook, and here we are, we're doing an interview, here on this station. And folks, you listen to WFNU Radio 94.1, St. Paul, Frogtown neighborhood out of St. Paul. And again, I've got Dane Riley. Now, Dane Riley, jeez, I keep going there, brother. Sorry for that. But let's talk about your interactions with Prince. I want to hear this story, and I think this is a great story that you can share with the listeners here.
Yeah, man, I've had a couple of interactions with Prince. Well, the first interaction, also Prince was in 1981 at the Warner Theater in Washington, D.C. The thing about it is that So, I became a Prince fan early on, first album, like most people do, first album on. So I first saw him in 1981 at the Warner Theater, right? 2 years later, I'm on the DC Police Department at this time. I came on the police department in DC in 1986. 1991, he was doing the Act 1 tour, and he had a show at the Warner Theater again. At this point, one of my brothers also was on the police department with me at the same time. So I called him up. I said, man, look, Prince is at the Warner Theater tonight. You want to go? He said, yeah, I'm at work. So I'm at work too. Let's, when we get off, let's go. So, I went and picked him up. And at that time, I had like one of the take-home, police cars that you could take home with you and everything. So I go pick him up. And we go to the Warner Theater. It's been about 2 hours before the show. We get to the Warner Theater. We in full uniform. Just got off of work. So we walk in the front door. And we walk in. And we get, into the venue. And I can't remember who was that. I can't remember his name. I don't know if it was his brother or somebody who was the road manager or the tour manager came up to us, introduce himself or whatever. So we said, y'all here to watch the show? So yeah, we just came to check the show out. So he said, he said, well, do you have a police car with you? I said, yeah, I have a police car. So he said, would you mind, after the show, escorting Prince to the hotel? And me and my brother looked at each other and said, well, yeah. we don't mind. They was like, are you crazy? So he said, okay, go get your car and bring it around back. So I went outside and went and drove my car around back to the back of the venue. And then, we came in, and it was a cool night because when we got in there, Donnie Simpson actually was in there already, and Donnie Simpson was in there, backstage talking to people and everything, whatever. So we got in there and got settled, and we was eating the catered food off the table and just talking to everybody, and people asking us questions about DC and whatever. Prince was there. He was like, walking back and forth and changing his clothes and whatever. So the guy comes up, the manager comes up to us and says, well, this is what's going to happen. At the end of the show, Prince is going to do Purple Rain, and once he does Purple Rain, he's going to be ready to leave. So I said, okay, we'll be ready. So just let us know what the cue is and everything. So, and the cool thing about this show also is that, he did the show. It was an intermission, and Jesse Jackson was in the audience this night. Jesse Jackson had his son with him, and Jesse Jackson wanted to come backstage so Prince could meet his son. So they came to the side door, opened up the side door for him, and we were all standing there, and Jesse Jackson was introducing his son to Prince and everything, and it was pretty cool. And then after the show, we ended up escorting him all the way to the Four Seasons Hotel downtown in Georgetown. And then when we got down into the parking area, he rolls down the window. He said, I'm having an after party here at this location. And he says, I want y'all to come. This is what he said to us, right? We looked at each other and said, yeah. We like, okay. So we went home, changed clothes, met back at the after party, man. We had a blast. We had a good time, man. And then the good thing about it is that they kept in touch with us for many, many years. So every time Prince came to perform in D.C., they would call us up and tell us to come there to the show. All the way up until like 2006. So every time Prince came to D.C., we was always there backstage with them at the show.
Oh man, that's awesome being able to maintain that relationship as it relates to your security and so forth, with the police station and being a policeman, and thank you for your service.
And nobody knew that, and then one time, because, Prince used to come, to DC a lot. And the times he used to come to DC and perform at certain venues, I would go. Anyway, I would just go. Sometimes, I would be in uniform and I would just go. And I would go in and I always would stand by the mixing board with his sound mixer, Scotty. So I was always with Scotty every time he came. And Prince remembered that stuff. He never forgot anything. And just to let you know, one show he did in 2006, I wasn't working that night. I was just a bystander in the crowd. And he did a show, and he came up and he looked at me and nodded at me. And then the show, we had Tamar Davis with him and DJ Rashida with him at this point. So he had a segment where he called people up on stage to dance or whatever. So I saw him walk over to Rashida, DJ Rashida, whisper in her ear. She comes right over to me, points at me, and tells me to come up on the stage.
Oh, wow.
And I go up on the stage, and I'm up there just dancing and having a good time. He looks at me, winks, like that. He remembered me from all those years back in the 90s.
Totally
it's
awesome.
Pretty cool.
Very cool.
Pretty cool.
Very cool. Well, folks, great interview here, Dane. Really
Thanks,
great,
man.
man. I appreciate having you on the show and you taking the time to be on the show. And again, folks, I got Dane Riley on WFNU Radio 94.1 out of St. Paul, streaming at WFNU.org. If you're online, folks. And again, let's give Dane a round of applause. All right. Thanks for coming on, brother. And hopefully
appreciate it, man.
Hopefully to connect with you soon, man. If I'm in the area of wherever you're living or decide to go, man, we'll definitely connect. And
yes, sir, man. It's been a pleasure.
Yeah, man. I'm going to be in touch with you nonetheless, man. Okay?
Yes, sir.
All right.
I really appreciate it, man. Thank you.
All right, man.